Hello once again, everyone. This is Not God on the Allah Emet channel, Twitter, YouTube, Patreon. It is April 6, 2022. My lesson today is titled Final Moves. Final Moves. In this lesson today, I will attempt to show that the world leaders of evil favor and work to fulfill the New Testament, not the Old Testament. So they favor the New Testament. That's why they print it so much around. And they even have those small Bibles with only the New Testament in it. And they work to fulfill the New Testament. But their final moves that the Torah speaks of and that they are trying to set up right now expose their work and shows up their love of the New Testament, not the Torah of the Most High from the Israelites in the book. A very strong test for New Testament veracity is eagerness to fulfill final declarations of biblical teachings, basically being eager to fulfill end-time prophecies. That shows them up, because you can come at the New Testament from just studying the Torah and then taking a look at the New Testament and seeing that it speaks or communicates in a different kind of way. But you can also come at it, as in this lesson here, by looking at end-time strategy or strategies, because they're doing a lot of different things, that's going on in the world by the New Testament leaders or the leaders that are running the world right now, running it into the ground. They work hard to set up the order of the world that they want to be new, or the OWN. They want one man to rule the world and give you this famously talked about 666 mark and everything else that they're trying to do. If the New Testament was given by the God of the Old Testament Hebrews that they worshipped, these present world leaders would not be trying so hard to fulfill them, but they would instead try hard to avoid them and stay away from 666 and other such scary things. But because the God of the Old Testament has nothing to do with the giving of the New Testament, then he does not support that in the Torah. But the world leaders today, they support it. They support the New Testament. So these New Testament final moves that you hear people talking of in the book of Revelations, like the 666, that's their writings. Because the Torah does not tell you that the Israelite will get 666. So this means not everyone on earth is going to get this 666. Although you might be disturbed by it, you'll get affected by it in some kind of way. It'll be close to you, things like that. It will annoy your daily lifestyle, your daily routine. But that 666 belongs to the new writings in the New Testament. It's a part of their plans to mark people in a way that make people be under their power and remain on top ruling the world if they can pull it off. But it will still fail in the end, even though they will make some headway with it, or maybe a lot of headway with it, but in the end it will still fail. But I'm seeing in the Bible that Israel is going to rule in the end, the true Israel. So the Bible, instead of speaking of the New World Order, it speaks of what I might call the SWO, or the Soon World Order, when the children of the Most High will be restored and set up on high. We're going to go around, damage their weapons that they've got left, put them under subjection. Some will go into slavery and so on, that did all these things with us. Others will be judged with death and so on, and they'll be gone, no more. Their kingdom will never be around anymore ever again to do these evil things to us and to the world. Notice that they do not work hard, these world rulers, to fulfill the final moves that should be made in the Old Testament, because those moves will wreck their world. They do not work hard to give us our silver and gold reparations from like Joel chapter 3 verse 5. Let's read that one. Because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried unto your temples my goodly pleasant things. They don't want to return that stuff. They don't work hard to fulfill that. But if you see a 666 in the New Testament, in the book of Revelations, they will work hard to fulfill that. And their fake rapture to fly up to heaven, they work hard to fulfill that by teaching it for many, many years, year after year, century after century, trying to get people that they convert to believe in this fake rapture. They work hard to pull that off. Now let's look again at Joel 2, verse 23 to 26, and then verse 29. Be glad then, ye children of Zion, and rejoice in the Lord your God, for he hath given you the former rain moderately, and he will cause to come down for you the rain, the former rain, and the latter rain in the first month. So this promise from the Most High, this instruction to be glad, is part of the soon world order of the Most High. And so he tells you, be glad then, ye children of Zion. How are you going to be glad if you are giving into and you are taking some special mark, some 666 mark? That's not going to make you glad. But he says be glad because, like I've told you in another lesson a couple months ago, Israel does not get the mark. They might have to live around it, live in the system that has it and so on, but they are not the ones running it, and they are not the ones that it is meant for, because the Most High's protection will be on the nation. Verse 24, and the floors shall be full of wheat, and the fats shall overflow with wine and oil, and I will restore to you the years that the locust hath eaten. If you get this so-called 666 mark of the beast, which I think is something different, I think I started telling that in another video before. I'll get back to it some other time in the future. But anyway, I'm just going with the regular mark that people think of today. Whatever you think of it is, whatever you think it is, whether it's a marker writing in your head or something else that gives an idea like that, like you are taken over fully in your mind or your body and so on. But if he says he will restore to you the years the locust hath eaten up, if a mark is going to eat up your life and eat up your mind so that your mind is now controlled by the beast system, and your body is also controlled by it and so on, and your body is destroyed, and they teach you that you cannot come back from that, how's the Most High going to be able to restore to you the years that the locust hath eaten up? Because in order for you to get the promises of deliverance, the promises of the Most High, you have to be able to receive and enjoy the years that were taken. So you're going to have a body and a mind that can still serve and worship the Most High and trust in the Most High and depend on the Most High. And that same mind and body that you have will be able to receive and utilize those blessings. So you cannot then be an Israel that is taken over by something that goes into you or writes on your forehead in a black marker or a blue marker, because that destroys you and puts you as a little beast in a beast kingdom. So you can only receive the years back that have been eaten up by locusts if you are still in a body and a mindset that can take back those years and multiply your effectiveness in those years once you get them back, so that the locust will not be eating you out through a mark in your life. So the cankerworm and the caterpillar and the palmer worm, my great army which I sent among you. What eats up Israel, or what ate them up, and we're still feeling it and so on, in many ways, is not a 666 serpent mark. That's not for Israel, that's for the world who trust in the beast system. But what eats up Israel is not that, that's for the world. The mark or a serpent does not eat up Israel. What ate up Israel and continues to do so is what the Most High said. my great army which I sent among you. So what ate up Israel is the locust that ate them up, and the cankerworm, and the caterpillar, and the palmer worm. His great army ate you up. Not the mark of the beast, the 666 MOTB from some serpent in the book of Revelations giving you a mark. Hello. So everyone wanting to use New Testament, whether you're an Israelite or not, and you're teaching the Bible from a New Testament perspective, telling people to watch out for mark of the beast, the Most High, if he is God, if he is the ultimate power, then his word would stand, and his word does not return unto him void. Let's read that one. I think that is in Isaiah 55:11. So shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. So if the Most High sent his word to command the little army of the locust and the cankerworm, palmerworm, and so on, to eat up Israel, and it happened, then it prospered in that thing. His word prospered, and the thing that he was trying to do, it happened to Israel. So when he also goes on now to say that you should be glad, basically meaning you will be glad, because it's basically a prophecy, it's the prophet Joel. And you're going to rejoice in the Lord, and so on, and he's going to give you new rains and will restore you, and so on, for the years that the cankerworm and so on, his army ate up. That means that has to prosper as well. That cannot come back void. So that's why our trust is in the Most High and not in what the evil world leaders are saying and doing. They might say it to the world and try to include us, but those who look at the scriptures, examine the scriptures with their whole heart, know it cannot possibly include you. They may attempt it, but it is not for you. So back to Joel chapter 2 verse 26, and ye shall eat in plenty. See that ye shall eat in plenty. That means this word also will not return void, just like when he sent the cankerworm and so on. That did not return to him void because we were eaten up. Then if you are reading the scriptures and the scripture tells you one bad thing will happen and then another good thing will happen, and you can agree that the bad thing has already happened and we're living in it, what's stopping you from agreeing that the good thing will happen, the promise will happen? We are so bent on punishment and on sadness and on things bad that we emphasize those things more and believe it easily because we're living in it. But sometimes we have some difficulty connecting with the future of the promises, the good parts. That's just because of pain that we've been living in. But it is something that we must know. All right? And you will be satisfied, and the name of the Lord your God, in the name of the Lord your God, you're going to praise his name wondrously, that has dealt with you wondrously, and my people shall never be ashamed. Never. Now, if somebody is taking the regular, famously pronounced 666 mark that they talked about from I was a child and before that, that person is going to be ashamed, especially if they're a Christian or they're a Bible person or they're Israelite who had to take it, and that's sad, but we're still living in the real world here. But that person is going to be ashamed. But the Most High is saying, you shall not be ashamed. So you got to understand what the scripture is saying. You shall not be ashamed. And also upon the servants and upon their handmaids, in verse 29, in those days will I pour out my spirit. Pour out the spirit in a body that has been taken over by the beast with the mark, where your mind and your body is no longer yours. So if that vessel has become corrupted, that temple, why is God going to pour his spirit in that? Even Jesus said, you don't put new wine into old bottles, that's bad, and ready to go out of service, because they're going to just burst. So if the Most High is pouring in his spirit, is going to be in a clean vessel, not one taken over by the devil's fangs inside of you with some 666 mark. that is not for Israel. Joel chapter 3, 1-2, and then verse 4-7. So Joel chapter 3, verse 1. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, when I will bring it again, I will cause that to happen. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat. So when you see all nations trying to come together slowly, and now you know this whole NATO thing going on, when you see all nations coming together, and more is going to add to them as time goes on, when all nations are coming together, and he says he's going to bring them down into that valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. So this is talking about something that's coming on, because his promise to deliver us and to restore the years, that time is coming. The 666 is not for you. So when they are gathering together, these armies coming together, they are coming together to make their, as I've titled this, final moves. But those final moves, they are not a New Testament thing. They were originally an Old Testament or Torah thing, because the prophets spoke of that before. So New Testament Revelations is just trying to piggyback on something. It's a copycat thing, like the copycat lessons that I was doing before. I still have some of those to do. This is just a copycat kind of thing. You don't have to rely on New Testament book of Revelations to find out what's going to happen. The Torah already told us from the major and minor prophets that's there already, and even from the patriarchs and so on. So the New Testament is fake. It is not necessary. In some ways, it might attempt to clarify some things when it spells out certain things in the New Testament or in the book of Revelations, but it tries to add too many things like 666 mark upon you. So Joel 3, 4-7. Yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coasts of Palestine? Will ye render me a recompense? And if ye recompense me, swiftly and speedily will I return your recompense upon your own head, because ye have taken my silver and my gold, I read that already, and have carried to your temples my goodly pleasant things. So these are some stuff that they stole, right, from the children of the Most High, which belongs to the Most High. So he said, it's mine. And he put it in the presence of his people. He put it in their hands. So they should live with it and enjoy the blessings of it and the representation of it all, which represents the goodness of the Lord and the presence of the Most High, to give them all those riches and so on. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border. So again, you see, they love these evil leaders, like I started out saying. They love the New Testament so much, and they favor it. So they just try to plan stuff that Revelations says and so on. But they don't want to show how they favor the Old Testament or the Torah, because they do not, because it represents their demise. Because if they did favor the Torah, they would try to do the things to make corrections that the Old Testament talks of. So like when the children of Judah and Jerusalem were sold unto the Grecians, they would try to return them fast to make corrections if they truly believed in the Torah and the God of the Hebrews. But they do not. What they favor is the New Testament. So they put all their efforts and their money, their billions and trillions of dollars over time, into fulfilling New Testament and Book of Revelation's supposed prophecies. They'll work toward a mark of the beast, but when it's supposedly being rolling out, they don't want to talk about it. Only church people can somehow talk about it. And most church people, church pastors and so on, we're talking about mark of the beast from before I was born and when I was born and so on. And that's what I heard in my younger years. But now when somebody says this is the mark of the beast on earth now for the past 2 years, you don't hear much people talking about it mainstream. In churches, especially in mega churches, they stay far from that. Mostly what you hear of the mark of the beast in the past 2 years, this should be are smaller churches that more have an online presence. Smaller ones, but not the mega churches. And you certainly don't hear the political leaders, the presidents and prime ministers talking about it. It seems they knew about it all along, but now when something is being rolled out on the earth, politicians don't know about anything called mark of the beast. So they'll work on it silently, it seems, and try to push it and roll it out. But they will not tell you that they're doing it, but that's what they're doing, according to that worldview of 666 mark of the beast. But like I said, my mark of the beast thought is different. Verse 7, behold, I will raise them out of the place. See, they favor the New Testament, so they don't want to do stuff and show that they favor the Old Testament by helping to raise them out of the place. So the Most High says, I will do it myself, since I favor my own Torah or my own word. I will raise them out of the place. While you are working on favoring your New Testament revelation stuff, I will favor my Torah, and I will raise them out of the place which ye have sold them, whither ye have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head. The Most High is not telling you that you are getting stung by a serpent. He says you got hit by the armies that I sent against you. But not by beast like that, by serpent, but they will get recompense upon their own head. So the end time stuff is coming for them. You're just feeling certain pressures because you are still living in the system that is being set up to be hit by the Most High. So we're feeling different pressures. And some of these major moves that they're doing is just their strategies to deal with the coming doom for them. So they have to restructure and change things around. So we are feeling the pressure out of that, because they need the space to set up this and set up that. So you get bumped out of your job. They need the space. They need to make certain movements to do this and that to protect themselves later on, and to still be able to save, to feed some of their people that will survive, because some of them are going to die too. So in that restructuring, you get bumped out of place. You get knocked around sometimes, but your trust should still be in the Most High, because the deliverance is coming very fast. And before any of this stuff happened in the last 2 years, I'd already said in a video a couple years ago, maybe 3-4 years ago, maybe 2017, 2018, or whenever it was, that I think is going to happen in our time. While some people are telling you it's happening January 1st, it's happening the next Hebrew year, it's happening in 2019, because 2016 to 2019 are going to be delivered. Is this the year? Some went out flat and said this is the year. Then some changed it to saying 2020 is going to happen, 2021, and they count all the way up now year up until 2040. But I just simply said it will most likely happen in our time or in our children's time. So now I can see it looks like it's more in our time that is shaping up, because too many things are happening too fast right now. So it looks like that's more the time that it's going to happen. But you don't just run around and put a specific date unless you know the people planning it, which day it's going to happen. Because if the Most High is going to restore us and bring us back from out of some of these lands that were ours, that were taken over anyway, but we will leave, come back and return them. If you're reading the Bible literally, we'll come back and then take them and be rulers in them later on, because the Bible says you will receive glory and honor in those places where you were put to shame. So if he's going to rescue and take back everyone from the far corners of the earth, then to get glory in those lands, you must later return and be running them and showing ownership once again when the wicked have been destroyed and broken down. That's how you look at this stuff. So their future again, verse 8, which I didn't plan to read, I will sell your sons and your daughters, right? So that's what he's going to do. He's going to restore us, and then he's going to get into the slave business and be selling their sons and daughters. That's the future that's coming. What's coming is not you being destroyed by the mark of the beast. What's coming is the soon world order of the Most High, managed by the children of Zion. So these new world leaders of evil, they have no interest in trying to return us to the land of the Lord, because those are the things they fear, and those things are taught in vivid detail in the Torah. It will destroy their world, so they're not interested in pushing that Torah or Old Testament stuff, but they like to set up their plans and their digital stuff and whatever, because the New Testament seems to support that, so they favor those kinds of moves and they put their money into all of that. One thing they do from Torah however, is to make great weapons. So they favor the New Testament stuff, setting up their digital things and so on. But when it gets to the Torah, they don't care. But from the Torah, they actually go ahead and they make great weapons. They will do that part. But the rest of it to restore us and so on, they don't care about that part. But they make great weapons, as the Torah speaks of, as they prepare for their final moves to collide with each other, like in scriptures, like as you will find in Isaiah 13 to Isaiah 14, talking about Babylon and Ezekiel 38 and so on. They prepare for their final moves like that because the Most High is driving them. They think they're going to strategize and come out on top. No, it is their destruction, because those are the Old Testament scriptures they fear and they can do nothing to stop. So it will become their destruction. So when they're setting up their weapons and so on, they are just trying stuff to make it through this time. So these end time judgments for them can all be fulfilled based off of Old Testament prophecies with no New Testament information added. That's why people who knew the Torah long ago, before they wrote New Testament and before Jesus and apostles came, they understood these things way back then without reading a New Testament writing, because they did not have New Testament writing at that time. The New Testament did not exist. Yet these Old Testament or Torah prophecies were expected to be fulfilled before a New Testament was known on earth. The New Testament is fake, and the Torah was standing without the New Testament knowledge and without Jesus being on earth or 12 disciples. And remember, I told you in one of the lessons in this New Testament, this fake series, apostle, when you break down the word, is dealing with apo. So they are apostate, or they are against. They have withdrawn from Torah or revolted against Torah. That's what apostle means. So when disciples, what you would think is somebody learning of the Torah, turns to being apostate, they are apostate from Torah teachings of Moses and the prophets and so on. They have turned their back on the God of Israel, the God of the scriptures. That's what apostles are. The New Testament is fake with all those apostles in it. Now, the Old Testament, it shows they are close to the end of their rule, as the destroyer, which I think is mentioned in Isaiah, has woken up. This is what the New Testament world leaders today are worried about. Now, they're still trying to spin it and use it to their advantage, but in the end, it's still going to destroy them. Right? They're worried about this destroyer because they feel that they're in control if they can roll out their killer 666 twin-tongue stinging of the beast with their end-time strategies. But every Torah end-time prophecy is actually a threat to them. They don't think so much that the New Testament sayings that are put forward as prophecies in Revelation and sometimes in Matthew 24, they don't think these things are a threat to them so much because they feel they can strategize and work around. They can set up some new money system, crash one and bring up another one and make special weapons. They feel they can work with Book of Revelations without telling you they're working with Book of Revelation, because they don't want you to think that they're working with the Bible. It's just people who will teach and say this is what's in the Book of Revelations. But they're still trying to work with that 666 from Revelations. What they fear to work with is the Torah stuff, because that is what is actually working against them. It's the stuff written in the Torah by the prophet. As in, like Isaiah 54:16, we will see that the destroyer is on the move. Let's read that one. Isaiah 54 verse 16. Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waster to destroy. So the destroyer is spoken of. And as you look now in the world, many things have gone on already, but it seems that there is a refreshing to the word destroyer or destroy. as the destroyer can clearly be seen to be on the move. The waster to destroy, I have created that waster to destroy, to bring destruction. Now, people, we're again here on the Alak Emmett channel, Twitter, YouTube, Patreon, New Testament is Fake series. Look at a part of the world where special things are being operated right now. They move around from city to city. Look at the condition of the streets, the buildings, the trees, people fleeing, running for safety, some getting on trains, while some others that don't look like them are not able to get on those trains as easily, right? The destroyer is on the move. I have created the waster to destroy. So how come somebody is saying that you're going to get a 666 twin-tongue stinging beast hitting your body violently, taking over your mind? They're telling you that's going to happen to you when the Most High is saying a destroyer is what I will send, and you can see a destroyer on the move, because everybody knows, looking at this situation of these changing buildings and structures and buildings looking burnt out and broken up and so on, that a destroyer is now beginning to run through certain parts of the planet. And they all know this is leading up to final moves or end time stuff going on the earth. The world will not be the same after this. This is prophecy being fulfilled from the prophet of the unstoppable return, the prophet Isaiah. So now if he talks about the destroyer pretty much equals military. The word destroy, cabal, to bind, to take a pledge, to lay pledge, to hold by a pledge. So basically, you're stuck in that position. You can't get out of it. You're held to that. It says to destroy, also to spoil, to deal corruptly, to offend. Is there an offense being caused by this destroyer that is now on the move? It's bringing forth travail. People travailing for their land and their freedom once again and so on. And it is sad, no kidding. It is sad. But remember when they did it to us. When they destroyed us. And even Black Wall Street dropping bombs and so on on us. Did they and all the other stuff that they did and putting us on ships and so on and destroyed our world and our life and so on, cast us out from different places we were living in and so on? Did the whole world come together to rescue, to save us? But destroy, it means to damage beyond use or repair. Now, if I just told you, if you look in this certain part of the world where the destroyer is on the move, you're seeing black marks from fire and smoke, burning buildings, the windows busted out, the concrete busted out and so on, and structures damaged, even roads ruined and so on. Is that the picture of something that's damaged beyond use or repair? Till now they're saying how many billions it will take to restore that place, because the destroyer was sent forth. But don't kid yourself, this is not even the final destruction from the destroyer. This is just the beginning stages of it, because they're planning already to restore. So if you look at it, there is some kind of a trick going on there. But still, it still is pointing to a destroyer that's already on the move, and it will become worse when the destroyer gets a stronger word from the Most High. So to destroy also means to severely disrupt the well-being of a person, to bring ruin. To bring ruin. Let's look at Isaiah 13 verse 5. The destroyer again, right? They come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord and the weapons of his indignation, to destroy the whole land. That word destroy right there again. And eventually you will see that this land and the destruction, it might seem to point to one place, but it eventually will be the whole world that's going to get the destruction, because the whole world has kept us in bondage. That's why the Most High says he has to reach to the ends of the earth from under the ends of heaven to get us. Look, as I'm recording this, there's this fighter jet running through the sky over my head here. I don't know if you can hear the rumble in the background. I guess they're testing stuff and whatever, training, I don't know. So they are afraid of Torah, the final moves spoken of in Torah, because it spells their doom. But they embrace the final moves in the New Testament as they can more strategize with New Testament things. Because anyone trying to strategize directly with Torah or Old Testament prophecies will not be able to avoid moving the children of Israel back to their land and returning to them their silver and gold and letting them come out with great substance. They cannot avoid that part because it is tied into the final moves or the end time moves, the end time prophecies, or what they call eschatology. So now New Testament doesn't spell out all that stuff, so they'd rather go with the book of Revelations. Let's roll out the mark of the beast and let's do stuff to them and set up a beast kingdom more clearly. So this, now, because they can more embrace the New Testament like that and try to pull off what they want while ignoring the children of Israel, then this is one way you can tell that the New Testament is fake, because all that they are doing from the New Testament that people keep teaching in their Bible lessons, all that they're doing from a New Testament Revelations perspective allows them to still ignore the children of Israel. That's how you can tell the New Testament is fake. All that they're doing from a New Testament Revelations perspective allows them to still ignore the children of Israel. That's how you can tell the New Testament is fake. Now let's close it off here with Jeremiah 30, verse 7 to 10. Showing you that the New Testament book of Revelations doom fake prophecies, that's not for you. That's for them. But here instead what the Most High says will happen to you at the end. Jeremiah 30 verse 7, Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. So what we're facing is the end. To be saved out of it, not more doom and gloom. I mean, I'm no expert at this part of it with the Jacob's trouble stuff, but it seemed to me like you've already been through Jacob's trouble. Jacob's trouble. What was going on all along was trouble for Jacob. If it was not trouble that Jacob was experiencing, then what was it? And see, because that doctrine is so popularized, and they've been teaching that for a long time, Jacob's trouble is coming, Jacob's trouble is coming. It just goes to show you again that they focus more on the New Testament, these evil world leaders, so they spread that around and they'll tell you all kinds of books that you hear in different churches from as a child. All kinds of lessons, rather, talking about what's coming in Revelations and 666 mark of the beast. But when they got to the Old Testament, they weren't speaking of these different countries that are named out, destruction of Babylon and whatever, and so on. They were more trying to talk about just Jacob's trouble, like you're going to go through it, because they did not want to get in and show you that Jacob has been in trouble for a long time. From they were kicked out of the land of Israel. Assyrian and Babylonian captivity came up on the people, and they've been in trouble ever since, running around from land to land, trying to make do, trying to make their way, trying to eat bread, and trying to survive, and then getting hit with different kinds of slaveries again. Arab slave trade and transatlantic slave trade, India, all kinds of stuff. They don't want to focus on that stuff when it really has already taken place. But now when you see end time things coming, then you must know that the last part of verse 7 is what we are faced with. But he shall be saved out of it. But it's telling you that something has already taken place. When you look at history, you will see that it has already taken place. And then the but is telling you, rather, that something new and different is going to happen, or salvation cannot happen, that is being spoken of in this verse. The but is telling you that the salvation is what you are faced with, because the salvation is going to coincide with the beginning of their destruction, the destruction of the wicked. That's why it says, but he shall be saved out of it. And that's why the prophet said, I read earlier already, that in that time, this and that will come. For it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and will burst thy bonds, and strangers will no more serve themselves of him. That's why you see even Africa rising up now and trying to structure things. Africa Union and whatever, and kicking out other European leaders and different countries over there, slowly fighting to kick out the West out of their business and so on. Because they are getting ready for the but part that says, but he shall be saved out of it. Because Africa already has the structure that is set up. Don't worry about them getting flood over there sometimes and all kinds of stuff. All kinds of stuff will go on. But he shall be saved out of it. The pressures that they've been putting on Africa and so on. But he shall be saved out of it. The troubles you are going on with over here. But the scripture says he shall be saved out of it. So if you're seeing it going on, that means, but he shall be saved out of it is still possible. If it had stopped all along, if all this trouble had stopped for like a couple 100 years, there'll be nothing to save you out of. So the moment you are still going through the difficulties, that means the but can still take place. So it still fits in with the Old Testament prophecies, so that you can get your mind off the New Testament fake wording that says you're going to get 666 mark off the damn beast. And as it says, his yoke will be taken from off your neck and will burst thy bonds and so on. They're focusing so much now on what wars they have to face and what difficulties and protests and whatever that's going to challenge them and whatever. All the wars that are coming from even the destroyer and so on. They can't focus on us the same way they used to anymore. First of all, if they try to even put you back into deeper slavery, because we're still in slavery, because the Most High said in the book of Jeremiah, I think Jeremiah 30 or something like that, he says that my people will no longer be slaves. He's going to come and deliver us. That means until he comes, you're still a slave. But they can't thrust us back into deep slavery like they did in transatlantic slavery and so on. Because if they're able to do that, they will make so much more money and be able to build up their weapons more and their 666 computer plans and take over more, that other countries who don't like them will get afraid and say, no, we can't allow them to build themselves up even more. We must strike them now. We must destroy them now. So they can't approach us the same way anymore. That's one other reason why you can say Jacob's trouble is what we have been in all along. But he shall be saved. It's not something you're looking forward to anymore, because there's a change coming. So verse 9, but they shall serve the Lord. Again, the but is telling you something different is going to be going on. They shall serve the Lord their God and David their king, whom I will raise up. Raise up, whom? To stand up, to let the person go. In other words, to be established and be confirmed. In other words, I will raise up, I will cause one to stand up in power. This King David that it speaks of is one that I will raise up myself, the Most High says. It's not because they're part of some secret government movement and some, what do you call it, secret, what do they call it? The secret societies and so on. That's not where the Most High says, I will. He is not part of no secret society. The Most High is not part of no secret society. But he says, I will raise him up. I'm going to raise him up with the power to get this deliverance done. This King David that he speaks of. Therefore, he says, fear thou not my servant Jacob, neither be dismayed. For lo, I will save thee from afar, thy seed from the land of their captivity. Thy seed, the seed will survive. Salvation is coming to the seed. The Zerah is going to be saved. The Zerah is not going to get some digital or some microchip, some 666 serpent sting inside their body that controls their physical bodies and their mind. because that is destruction. But the Mosai said that your seed and your offspring will be saved from the land of their captivity. 666 mark of beast, end time stuff from Book of Revelations is fake. Their final moves are just for them to strategize to get through this time as best as possible, hoping that they will not be destroyed, but they will be. While the Most High will be saving our seed or bringing salvation to our seed from the land of captivity, meaning Jacob's trouble is getting ready to come to an end. Jacob shall return and shall be in rest and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. If you get 666 in your body, will you not be afraid if you run back to the land of deliverance? Will you not be afraid? Will this 666 be controlled by some supercomputer from the West or wherever they're doing it from? You're going to be in fear in the land of the Lord because this stuff has taken you over, or a marker has written 3 numbers on your forehead. You will still be afraid. But all the marks of fear that crippled you for a long time will be removed. And you will be at rest and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. That's what the Torah is saying. The New Testament is fake. Their final moves are just to put them in as best a position as they fight their wars to stop themselves from being destroyed. But it's still not going to work, because they will be destroyed forever and their kingdom taken down. And those of them who survive, the Bible says that God is going to get into the slave business, like I said earlier, and their children will be sold as slaves. This is just what the Bible is saying. This is not God on the Yalak Emmett channel at this time on Twitter, YouTube, Patreon. The end.